This is I Am by John Clare. I am, yet what I am none cares or knows. My friends forsake me like a memory lost. I am the self-consumer of my woes. They rise and vanish in oblivion's host, like shades in love and death's oblivion lost. And yet I am, and live with shadows tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise, into the living sea of waking dreams, where there is neither sense of life nor joys, but the vast shipwreck of my life's esteems. And even the dearest, that I love the best, are strange, nay, rather stranger than the rest. I long for scenes where man hath never trod, a place where woman never smiled or wept, there to abide with my Creator God, and sleep as I in childhood sweetly slept. Untroubling and untroubled where I lie, the grass below, above the vaulted sky. So, that sounds like a really weepy poem. Like, yeah, dude, we all got troubles. Fucking get over it. But here's the thing. John Clare, so this is from a book, an anthology, Poems That Make Grown Men Cry, right? 100 poems that picked out so they got a bunch of people, dudes, men, not dudes, men. These are men. A lot of these people are men. Almost all, pretty much all of them are men. Not, yeah. So this one was picked out by Ken Loach, and he makes mention of the fact that John Clare wrote of the countryside with great affection, but spent his last years in an asylum. This poem tells of a man reduced to nothingness, bereft, abandoned beyond tears. The desperation of Clare's words leaves you weeping for all who share his plight. And you think about that, like, he wrote this from 1844. Actually, I don't know if it's that he wrote it from this period or that we just don't know, like, when it was written, but this is when he was in the asylum from 1844 to 1845. I looked at one point, I'll have to go back and research again, but like when you know about the poet's circumstances and then you read the words again, not only are they more powerful, but just like, even aside from all that, some of the imagery that he has and some of the lines, like my favorite line probably in this whole poem is, I am the self-consumer of my woes. And he hyphenates it, the self-consumer of my woes. So to me, when I read this, it's like a cyclical thing. He is the self-consumer. I am the self-consumer of my woes. Okay, so I consume my woes and my woes consume me at the same time. It's like the more you indulge in that, the more you consume your woes, the more consumed you become by them. And the way that he worded it, and the hyphen, I think really is kind of like, I don't know why, it just does for me, just kind of like, just brings it around. I am the self-consumer of my woes. Because it's like, I am my own self-consumer, but I self-consume my woes. I think that's what it is for me. I am the self-consumer of my woes. It's the first half of the line. I am the self-consumer. He is the one who consumes himself, but it's through the consumption of his woes. So this is the first video, what you guys are going to find, or you guys or you gals or anyone who watches this stuff. And I just talk the way I talk. So if you don't like it, move on. But I go over stuff a lot that I've already made clear. And it's because, I'm just trying to find the perfect way to say it. I'm just searching for the way to say it to me that is the most clear, which I just did right there. So I'll try not to point that out every time it's happening. You guys will just get used to it. But if anybody, is out there that is interested in this stuff as much as I am. And then the other aspect of this poem, in each stanza, there's something that I love. So the second stanza, live with shadows tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise, into the living sea of waking dreams. So he paints this picture of like tossed. Okay, so shadows tossed is like, what gets tossed? You get tossed on a boat, right? Because of the waves. So like already he kind of primes you for that living sea of waking dreams line. It's like, yeah, I already feel like I'm in a boat because I'm being tossed around, tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise. And he recognizes it. That's the other thing I love about the poem. If you're not careful when you're reading through, you can lose stuff like this. Not to say you should always be careful. I'm just saying, like, that's why talking about it and reading it over and over and over again before you can like really just let it sink in. Sometimes it's pretty apparent, but like I think this poem is pretty amazing. So into the nothingness of scorn and noise, he lives with shadows tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise. It's all the same. Like all of the things that all of his shadows that he lives with from his past, like everything that he's complaining about in his head, and it's not complaining. Some of it is probably complaining, but other things are like shadows, like real demons, right? But he lives with them, tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise. It's like it's empty there. Like it's hard to capture in words, but that's I think the point of it. Maybe it's also 3:00 in the morning. I'm doing the best I can. This is sometimes the best time to read it because it's just uninhibited. It's just flowing, So into the living sea of waking dreams, where there is neither sense of life nor joys. And this is the other line. But the vast shipwreck of my life's esteems. It's like when I say it, I'm 34. When I say it, it's like, dude, fuck off. You got some living to do. Your life's not over yet. It's hard to see that when you're in desperate straits, but it's true. But for him, like his time has passed. And it's hard to, okay, nobody's time has ever passed. Blah, blah. But a man knows when he's got nothing more to give, Like, there's no more time left for me to do this. And those are real epics that you go through as you age. The concerns of your life shift over your life. You're like when you're young, you're going adventuring, the world is your oyster, you're invincible. And then like you start to experience things and you realize like, okay, maybe I'm not invincible. Maybe I do need to think about like settling down or finding some stability or protecting the things that I've worked so hard to build because they can all be gone in a flash. So, and then once you've done that and you've kind of established yourself and gotten a footing, then you start looking at like, well, how can I create a legacy? And how can I pass along this information that I've gained, this wisdom that I've gained, or how can I build things for other people? And you start looking outside yourself. It's like you get to that point where it's like all of your time for doing all of that is gone. And then you get to look at your life. You get to look at the legacy that you've left behind you. And some men, when they look, they see that. They see the vast shipwreck of their life's esteems, that nothing worked. And I'm in an asylum because all of my friends have abandoned me, like a memory lost. And even the dearest that I loved the best are strange, nay, rather stranger than the rest. That I totally get. Like, you feel like the people that you loved the dearest or closest to you should know you the best and should be there in this time of like desolation. But the fact that they're not makes you question, well, did they ever actually love me? Was I seeing them for who they were, for who they said they were to me, who they would be to me? Because if they were that, then they would still be here. So of course they're stranger than the rest. Because not only are they strangers to you now, just like anyone else would be, but you knew them once. And all of that knowing is now gone. And it's like that fills so much more room for them to be strange to you. It's a weird way to say it. I'm not doing it the best way, but maybe I'm doing it in a good enough way. So, this is my last little bit. It's got 2 more lines. So the place where woman a place where woman never smiled or wept. It was like, oh, and then okay. So the whole third stanza. I long for scenes where man hath never trod. Like I get that. And he's saying like just an untouched wilderness, serene. Especially if he was writing poems about the countryside for most of his life. Like he could see the land. He's seen those things. He's seen that land where man hath never trod, or at least could imagine it, because there's only like one cabin out there. Whatever, just won't look at that. And then this is the part that's interesting to me: a place where a woman never smiled or wept. Why would that be important to him? And I think it's because a woman's smile or tears can wake up a man to what he needs to do, or to the fact that there is a world outside of him. It's the clearest thing. It's like the happiness or pain, the joy or the pain, the ecstasy or the pain of another, especially a woman, is like the other half of us, the other half of men, biologically speaking. Like, it's the clearest thing that grabs you out of yourself. A place where a woman never, the smile or a weeping of a woman. For him, for a man, for this man, and many men. And there to abide with my Creator God, and sleep as I in childhood sweetly slept. That's such an innocent idea, too. Untroubling and untroubled where I lie. He troubles no one, and no one troubles him. Innocence. The grass below above the vaulted sky. Sleeping on grass, yeah, above, with nothing above, just like out in the field, stars in the sky, perfect night. Sounds lovely. There to abide with my Creator God. Anyway, so that's why I love this poem. And I can identify with a lot of it. Self-consumer my woes, that line, if I'm thinking to myself, if I'm just regurgitating all the same stuff that's troubling me, I return to that line a lot. I am the self-consumer of my woes. Because it's not doing me any good to just sit there and go over it, go over it, go over it, go over it, go over it. Just let it go. I have that luxury now at my age. But when you're in an asylum and there's no other path, I mean, what are you going to do? It's like, you can't go anywhere, can't go out and enjoy your freedom, because you're not free in that environment, you know? Like, yeah. This poem gets me. Let me know what you think. I don't know how this works entirely. Again, first video. This is, I don't even want to say it, but like the video, subscribe. Just doesn't feel right coming out of my mouth. Really, what I'll look for is comments. So if you thought that I talked too much about it, if I didn't do enough history, just let me know what you think. And or if you have a poem that you want me to read that like maybe you feel like people have shared with you and it's like they understood it and I have no idea what it means. I'll give it a shot. I don't care. I'm just a dude reading poetry. What do I know? Talk to you guys later.